Good morning, students. Today's our topic is theory of probability. So we start with the introduction. The meaning of probability is the ratio of favorable events of total number of equally likely events. Probability is an attitude of mind towards uncertain events. The theory of probability owes its origin to the study of games of chance or gambling. Suppose a man is permitted to toss a coin on payment of rupees 20 and is offered rupees 30 as a prize if the throw of a coin result in a head. If the coin shows tail, he does not get anything. Probability is just a chance occurrence of the event. The credit of development of probability theories goes to gamblers and people who bets on horses, who has started discussion with the famous mathematician of that age. After disappointed from goddess fortune, famous scientists as Galileo, Pascal, Fermat used their power to solve these problems. This undeveloped ideas is developed by the scientist. The theory of probability is of interest not only to cards and dice players, who were his godfather, but also to all men of action, heads of industries or heads of armies whose success depends upon decision. Now come to the definition of probability according to mathematical definition and according to statistical definition. Now firstly come to the mathematical definition. An event happen a times and does not happen b times and always are equally likely, then probability of happening of an event will be a oblique a plus b, and probability of not happening of event will be b divided by a plus b. According to statistical definition, probability is calculated on the basis of available data on frequencies or predetermined experiences. Probability is equals to random divided by number of outcomes. R is equal to relatively occurrence, n is equal to number of their items. So now come to the importance of probability theory. Basis of statistical law, importance in games of chance, use in sampling, specific importance in insurance business, use in economics and business decision, and basis of test of hypothesis and test of significance. So these are all the importance of probability, where the probability can be used and occur. Basis of statistical law, importance in games of chance, where the chance of loss or win is occurrence, use in sampling. We also use the probability in sampling. Specific importance in insurance business, use in economics and business decisions, basis of test of hypothesis and test of significance. Now come to the types of probability. It is theoretical, relative, subjective. Theoretical probability, we assume that all n possible outcome of the particular experiment are equally likely, and we assign a probability of 1 divided by n to each possible outcomes. For example, the theoretical probability of rolling a 3 on a regular 6 sides dice is 1 by 6. Now come to the relative probability. We conduct an experiment many and many times, then we say the probability of an event A is equals to how many times A occurs divided by how many tries. Relative probability is based on observations or actual measurements. For example, a dice is rolled 100 times. The number 3 is rolled 12 times and the relative probability is rolling 3 is 12 divided by 100. Now come to the subjective probability. These are values between 0 to 1 or 0 and 100%, assigned by individuals based on how likely they think events are occur. For example, the probability of me being asked on a date for this weekend is 10%. So firstly, we discuss about the basic concepts of probability. Now, the basic concepts of a probability, the first concept is random experiment. When we experiment or predict a result on a based on random experiments, the random experiments is related to it is a random experiment is an activity in which result is not predictable and outcome depends upon a chance. In probability, the result is not predictable and it also depends upon the outcome, depends upon the chance. In other words, if the result of outcome of an experiment performed again and again under essentially homogeneous condition may be any one of the possible outcome, then the experiment is called random experiment. Similarly, throwing a dice or drawing a card from the pack of cards are randomly experiments. Now come to the sample space. The basic concepts of a probability. Second one is sample space. The set of all the possible distinct outcomes for a random experiment is known as the sample space. It is also called event space. It is usually denoted by S. The event of the sample space on every possible outcome in a sample space is called sample point. For example, in tossing a coin, sample space is given by S is equal to H or T. There is both the possible outcomes to occur the event of head or a tail. And third one is trial and event. The task of performing a random experiment is called trial, and one or more outcome of a random experiment is called an event. An event is a subset of a sample space. For example, tossing a coin will be called as trial and getting head or tail will be called as event. Now, we have done this with the help of example. So now we'll start with the basic concept. Is both when we flip the coin, the head or tail both will be counted. The sample space is given by S is equal to head and tail. For example, in tossing a coin, if we are going to toss a coin, then there is both possibility outcomes. it may be occurrence of head or it may be occurrence of tail. The sample space is given by, if we tossing the 2 coins simultaneously, so there is a sample space is like, it may be occur head and head both the times. It may be occur head and tail. And the second time, it may be occur tail and head. It may be occur tail and tail. Fine. So there is a 4 number of outcomes. This is 1, 2, 3 and 4. Third, the trial and the event. What is the trial and the event? The last of performing a random experiment is called a trial. And one or more outcomes of a random experiment is called a event. A tossing a coin will be called as trial. When we toss the coin, we known as a trial. When we toss a coin or flip a coin in one time, we known as a trial. Fine. And getting head or tail, it will be called as event. If we're getting the head or tail, with tossing a coin, we known as event. It is clear to all? That. Now come to the definition of the probability. According to the mathematical approach, the definition of the probability. According to the mathematical approach. The mathematical approach, this is the simplest and oldest approach of probability. It is based on the assumptions that events are mutually exclusive and equally likely. The game of chance will various events are equally likely to occur and their ways of occurring are unique and already known are discussed under this definition. If a random experiment result is an n-exhaustive and mutually exclusive and equally likely cases out of which m are favorable to the happening of an event A, and then the probability of occurrence of A, usually denoted by PA, is given by the ratio m divided by n. In mathematical approach, there is a random experiment result in an n-exhaustive, mutually exclusive and equally likely cases out of which m are favorable of the happening of an event A, then the probability of occurrence of A, usually denoted by the PA, is given by the ratio is the mutually exclusive or equally likely cases of the outcomes. Now, what is PA is equals to the event of occurrence of probability is A is equals to favorable number of cases to event A, favorable number of cases of event A divided by total number of possible cases. Total number of possible cases. So this is denoted by M and this is denoted by N. So after this mathematical approach, the favorable cases of event A is equals to M and total number of possible cases is equals to N. So here is the combination. So after mathematical approach, we are going to discuss combination. So combination refers to the grouping of items without reference to their arrangements. The number of combination of n objects are taken are at a time is denoted by the r. And here is the combination. This is the combination and this is the number of outcomes and this is the randomly tossing the coin is equals to n divided by n minus r bracket r. So now we have to find out the results. So this is the formula. The following results are important in finding the number of combinations. And the combination is, so we start with the illustration number 1. From a bag containing 6 balls, there is a bag and the number of balls in 6. 3 are to be drawn. Find out the number of possible ways or combination. Now n is equals to 6 because number of balls in a bag is 6 and r is denoted to 3. We have to drawn to be 3 times, that's 6 balls. So after this, according to the combination, there is a combination of the 6 C 3. There is a 6 C and r denoted to the 3 is equals to, here is the n is equals to 6, n minus 3 and here we put the 3. Fine. Now, how we are going to solve this sum? After this, we come to our next step. There is 6 multiplied by 5, by 4, by 3, by 2 and by 1. So there is a combination of group of items. Now 6 minus 3 comes 3. 3 multiply 2 multiply 1. And again here is 3. It's 3 multiply 2 multiplied by 1. So now we have to calculate both the rows. The answer comes 20. And the number of possible ways or combination is equals to 20. After this, we have to solve another sum from a group of 10 students. From a group of 10 students, a group of 3 is to be selected. There is a group of 10 students and the 3 students is to be selected. Find the possible number of combination. And here n is equals to 10 and r is equals to 3. Because randomly 3 to be selected. So the combinations are NCR is equals to 10C3 is equals to 10 minus 3 and here is also 3. So firstly, there is a 10 outcomes, 10 into 9, 8 to 7 into 6 to 5, 4 into 3 into 2 and into 1. So now we have to calculate this one. 10 minus 3 is 7. 7 into 6 into 5, 4, 3 into 2 and into 1. And here is the random to be selected is 3 times. 3 into 2 into 1. So after calculating these values, the favorable possible number of combination is equals to 120. And your answer is 120. So this is all about the combinations. So after this, now we are going to discuss the another example. A coin is tossed successively 3 times. Determine the probability of getting. a coin is tossed 3 times successively, and here the probability is getting. When we toss the coin 3 times successively, now the first is exactly 2 heads, and the second is at least 2 heads, and the probability of third one is at the most 2 heads. There are the 3 types of occurrence of successively the probability of getting the coin successively. The first is exactly 2 heads. When we toss the coin, there is the number of total outcomes is n is equals to 8. Now we have to find total number of outcomes. Is equals to n, and there is a number of favorable cases is equals to m. So when we toss the coin first time, to determine the probability of getting firstly exactly 2 heads. First is exactly 2 heads. So there is a probability of occurrence in number of outcomes exactly 2 heads. And when we flip the coin second time, so there is a number of occurrence at least 2 heads. Now, if we are going to toss the coin third time, so there is the probability of getting at the most 2 heads. So there are 3 trials are here, and the number of outcomes so there are 3 trials are there, and the number of outcomes, it may be when we toss the coin first time and the sample space is given by and the sample space is, it may be occur head, head and head. So this is the first occurrence, and if we are tossing the coin number 2, so there is a occurrence of head, tail and head. After that, head, head and tail. After this, tail, tail and tail. After that, tail, head and tail. After this, head, tail and tail. Now we have to occurrence of chance tail, tail and head. After this, the sample space may be occurred tail, head and head. Suppose we have 3 coins. When we occur the coin one time, it may be the chance of occurrence is head, head and head. After this, we have tossed again 3 coins and the occurrence is there head, tail and head. After this, suppose we're tossing the coin the third time and the occurrence of the each is head, head and tail. After this, suppose we are tossing the coin fourth time and the occurrence is there tail, tail and tail. Suppose you have one coin, fine. You have to toss 3 times that one coin. And the one time is, suppose you are tossing the coin one time and the occurrence of chances, it comes head. You toss the second time same coin and there is a possibility of occurrence as head again. Suppose you are tossing the same coin at the third time, there is a possibility of outcome is tail. So you have the combination of head, head and tail. So exactly, there is a number of outcomes is equals to 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. So number of outcomes is equals to 8. Fine. And now we have to find out the 3 events occurrence as I discussed already. Exactly 2 head, at least 2 head and the most 2 head. So in first, there is a probability of exactly 2 head means 2 head and 1 tail. So in exactly 2 heads, it means 2 heads and 1 tail. So there is a chance of occurrences 2 head in each of the event. And now we calculated with the help of all these occurrence of events. So there is a number of favorable cases m is equals to 3. How number of favorable cases is equals to 3? There is a first case, we have exactly 2 head here, and the second case we have exactly 2 head here, and in the third case we have exactly 2 head and 1 tail is here. So the number of favorable cases m is equals to 3. So now we have to require to put the formula according to the mathematical approach. As I discussed earlier, m is equals to 3, m divided by 3, and the number of favorable cases is equals to 3, and the number of favorable cases denoted by m. Fine. So now we have to put the formula here. Probability m divided by n is equals to, and the m is equals to 3 and the n is equals to 8. So according to first event, yeah, our answer is 3 by 8. So now we have to calculate the second event. The second event is at least 2 heads, and it means 2 head, 1 tail, or 3 head, no tail. In the second event, there is at least 2 heads. It means there are 2 head and 1 tail, or 3 head or no tail. In this case, it may be 2 heads or 1 tail and 3 heads and no tail. In this case, the number of favorable cases is equals to, there is 1, 2, 3 and 4. Fine. So number of favorable cases is equals to 4 and divided by the total number of outcome. Number of favorable cases in this case and total number of outcomes are there, n is equals to 8. So now the formula is m divided by n. So now m divided by n is 1 divided by 2, and this is your answer of the second event. Now, after the second event, we have to do the third event at the most 2 heads. In this, at the most 2 heads, there are cases maximum 2 heads. After this case, now we had to calculate the third case is the at the most 2 heads. at the most two-head case, we have to calculate, and there is the number of favorable cases. It may be there are maximum two head. It can be one head and two tail. Maximum two head is also there. So out of these outcomes, the number of favorable cases are there. Maximum two heads are there. Fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. Fine. So there are number of favorable cases. M is equals to 7. And the total number of outcomes are there is equals to 8. Because this is our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. So now your answer is 7 by 8. This is your answer. So this is all about the sum. So after discussing the basics of probability, now we have discussed another topic. And the topic is addition probability theorem. In addition probability theorem, an important theorem of probability, the literal meaning of addition theorem is to add the individual probabilities of two or more events. In addition probability theorem, so we have to add all the individual probabilities of the two or more events or occurrence when we flip the coin and when we play the cards. The addition rule of probability are helpful when we have two events and we are interested in knowing the probability that at least one of the event occurs. Addition theorem can be proved for A when events are mutually exclusive and B when events are not mutually exclusive. So there are two number of cases. In addition theorem, in the probability, the concept is the process of determination of the probability that either A or event B is here or occur the both event. The notation between two events, the A and B, the addition is denoted by U and is pronounced as union. When we added the individual outcomes or individual occur event, we denoted the addition is U and pronounced as union. Then probability of occurrence at the least one of these two events is given by the sum of individual probabilities. So now there is a probability of either A or B. So as I discussed earlier, the basic sums of the probability we must calculate, and we also have calculate favorable number of cases and divided by the total number of cases. The favorable number of cases denoted by the M and the total number of cases divided by the N. Now we come to the addition theorem probability and can be defined and proved as follow. Firstly, P and in bracket A is equals to probability of occurrence of event A. When the written is this, P and in bracket A is equals to probability of occurrence of event is A, and P, the B in bracket is equals to probability of occurrence of event is B. After that, P in bracket A union B, probability of occurrence of event A or B. So there is the chance of both the occurrence of event, it may be A or it may be B. And P, A, this sign is called as or denoted as intersection. A intersection B is equals to probability of occurrence of event A or B. So there is the probability of both the occurrence of event, it may be A or it may be B event. So in case 1, when events are mutually exclusive, in addition theorem, it states that if A and B are mutually exclusive events, then the probability of happening of either A or B is the sum of individual probabilities of A and B is there. And in mathematically, P A plus B is equals to P in bracket A, as we written P in bracket A plus P in bracket B. But in this theorem, we have to write P A union B is equals to PA plus PB, as same we written here. After that, we have to find out the favorable number of cases and divided by the total number of outcome cases, as we discussed earlier in the basics of the probability. Now we have to the case number 2, when events are not mutually exclusive. In addition theorem, if two events A and B are not mutually exclusive, the probability of occurrence of event either A or B or both is equal to the sum of their individual probabilities minus probability of A and B occurring together. Now we have to calculate. This theorem can be extended to or more mutually exclusive terms. If the event A and B correspondent to the two events A and B of the random experiment, and if the set is correspondent to the sample space S is the experiment, then the equation 1 becomes the probability A addition A union B is equals to A P in bracket A plus P in bracket B, subtract P in bracket A and multiplied by P in bracket B also. So there are event A union B refers to the meaning at either event A or event B occurs. So there are both the chances of the occurrence of event A or event B eitherly. So we can find the logic behind the addition probability theorem. Both may occur simultaneously. For example, the probability of getting spot 2 in through a single dice is 1 by 6, and the probability of getting spot 4 is also 1 by 6. If it is asked that what is the probability of getting 2 or 4, it will be 1 by 6 plus 1 by 6 is equal to 2 by 6, and that is equals to 1 by 3. So this is the number of favorable cases. 2 is the number of favorable cases divided by the total number of outcomes. So your answer is 1 divided by 3 on the basis of addition theorem. So there are some limitations of the addition theorem. Addition theorem is applicable only when following two conditions are fulfilled. The first condition is events are mutually exclusive, and the second condition is they are all related to same set. It should not be that if two or more events are not mutually exclusive completely. The addition theorem has to be modified. Suppose there are two events A and B, and in some occurrence they are not mutually exclusive, then modified formula will be as follow: P in bracket A or B is equals to P in bracket A plus P in bracket B, subtract P in bracket A and B. So now come to the multiplication law of probability. The multiplication law of probability, multiplication law in probability applies the combination of events. When the events have to occur together, then we make use of the multiplication of probability. In the multiplication, there is a case of multiplied the both individual events. Now two cases arise, whether the events are independent or dependent. There are two cases: the event is independent or the dependent. The events are said to be independent only when the occurrence of one event does not change the probability of occurrence of any other event with it. In multiplication theorem, the events are said to be independent only when the occurrence of one event does not change the occurrence of probability of any other event. And in the dependent event, the given events are said to be dependent when occurrence of one event changes the probability of the occurrence of any other event. Suppose we have to toss a coin two times. Fine. There are two possible outcomes. It may be uh, both the times the event may occur head head, and event may occur head and tail. Event may occur tail and tail. In the independent event, only when the occurrence of one event does not change the probability of the any other event. If one time the head head is occur, then in second time there is no independent, there is no change in the probability of the occurrence in the another event. So in second time there is always the total number of outcomes is 3 are there. It may be occurrence head head, it may be occurrence head and tail one time, it may be occurrence tail tail both the times. Fine. So this is known as independent event. And the dependent event, the given event are said to be dependent when the occurrence of one event changes the probability of the occurrence of any other event. So there is the two events also. So there is a one coin, we have to flip just two times. Fine. Or there is a one coin and we have to flip just one time also, and there is the dependence. In this case of dependent, there is the occurrence of event changes the probability of the occurrence of any other event. If we have to flip the coin one time, just one time, with tossing the coin, and the occurrence of event is head and tail both is there, but if head is occurred, then the probability of the tail is changed for the occurrence in the second time. Now the rules of the multiplication states that the probability of occurrence of given two events, or in other two words, The probability of intersection of two given events is equals to the product obtained by the finding the product of the probability of occurrence both the events. This implies that if A and B are two events given, then P in bracket A and B bracket close is equals to P in bracket A intersection B bracket close is equals to P bracket A multiplied by P in bracket B. So rule is there. This rule is applicable in all the cases, that is when events are independent or dependent. In case where when we have two dependent events, we have to be very careful in determining the probability of the second event after the occurrence of the first event. In such cases, the multiplication rule is modified as let us we can see the example, and to understand this, we have two events of drawing two candles from a box one by one, but with replacement. It is clear that here is the given event are completely independent, and thus we can multiply the probability of the given two events for finding out the probability of combined events. Now suppose the candles are taken from the box without putting the first one back. It is clear that the event are dependent, and thus we need to find the conditional probability or finding the probability of occurrence of combined event. So let us see some example on the multiplication law of probability. A bag contains 3 pink candles and 7 green candles. In a bag, it contains 3 pink candles and the 7 green candles are there. 2 candles are taken out from the bag with replacement. Find out the probability that both the candles are pink. How we can find out the probability that both the candles are pink as we taken out from the bag? Now we start with solution. Let A is equal to event that first candle is pink and B is equals to event that second candle is also is pink. T A is equal to 3 by 10. Why we write 3 here? Because the number of favorable cases are 3 and the number of total outcomes is 10, because 3 plus 7 is equal to 10. So number of total outcome of cases is 10 and number of favorable cases is just 3. Because the bag contains 3 pink candles, since the candles are taken out with replacement, this implies that the given event are to be independent. Now we have to write out the event B is equal to 3 by 10 also. Hence, by the multiplication law, we get P A intersection B is equals to P A multiplied by P in bracket B oblique A bracket close. P bracket open A in the intersection B is equals to 3 by 10 multiplied by 3 by 10. So there is a probability of 3 into 3 is 9 and 10 into 10 is equals to 100. So there is a probability 9 divided by 100 is equals to 9 divided by 100 is equals to 0.09. So occurrence of pink candles, the probabilities are 0.09 is there. So now we are going to discuss example number 2. A bag has 4 white cards and blue and 5 blue cards. We draw 2 cards from the bag one by one without replacement. Find the probability of getting both cards white. Now we have to find out the both cards white and let us check the probability of these 2 cards. Let A is equal to event that first card is white and event B that the second card is also the white. From the equation 1, P event A is equals to A divided by 9. So this is the favorable event divided by total number of outcomes. Now come to the event B, occurrence of event B. Probability of occurrence of event B is there because the event given are dependent on each other. So now probability event B is equals to 3 by 8. Why 3 by 8? This is the probability of occurrence. This is the 4 card. The one probability is always decided is here. The event A is occurred, or that is the first card is the white card. Fine. So if we have to drawn out, the first card is the white card is drawn out, then the bag contains just 3 white cards left out. Fine. And the total number of cards in the bag is there. The total number of card is in the bag contain the number of total outcome is now 8 because 3 plus 5 is equals to 8. So P A intersection B is equals to the event of occurrence A and the event of occurrence is B is right down here. Now 4 divided by 9 multiplied by 3 divided by 8. Now the occurrence of possibility is 1 by 6 is here. The event of white card and the occurrence of white card of the possibility is occurrence is 1 by 6 is here. Now combined use of addition and multiplication theorem is, the question is A speaks truth in 80% cases and B in 90% cases. So there are 2%. The A speaks truth in 80% cases and the B speaks truth in 90% cases. In what percentage of cases are likely to contradict each other in starting the same fact? Let A and B denote the probability and that A and B speak the truth. Then we have to write down the probability of the occurrence of the event is here. Probability of occurrence of event A is here is equals to 80 divided by 100 is equals to 4 divided by 5. And in P, 90 divided by 100 is equals to 9 divided by 10. They will contradict each other only when one of them speaks the truth and the other speaks a lie. In the contradict, there is each other contradict each other when only one of them speaks the truth and then the other speaks the lie. So thus there are two possibilities are there. A speaks the truth and B tells a lie. If A speaks the truth, then A tells a lie. Since the events are independent, so by using the multiplication theorem, we have probability in first case 4 by 5 multiplied by 1 by 10 is equal to 4 by 50. And in second case, the probability in the second case is 9 by 10 multiplied 1 divided by 5 is equals to 9 divided by 50. Since these cases are mutually exclusive, so by using the addition theorem, we have to require probability 4 divided by 50 plus 9 divided by 50 is equals to 13 divided by 50 is equals to 26% possibilities are there. If A speaks truth, then B tells a lie. If B speaks the truth, then A tells a lie. So now come to the multiplication theorem in case of conditional probability. In a random experiment, there are A and B to occur. then the probability of the occurrence of events are there. Event A when event B has already occurred and P in bracket B, there is not outcome of the occurrence of event B is called the conditional probability and is denoted by the P A conditional B. So P is equals to A conditional B or A divided by B is equals to number of outcomes favorable to A which are also favorable to B and divided by number of outcomes favorable to B also. So probability A divided by B is equals to there P brackets open A intersection B bracket close is equals to probability of B not occurrences there, and then similarly P B divided by A is equals to P bracket open A intersection B is equals to divided by P and the occurrence of event is A is there. So probability of occurrence of event is A is not there. So now come to the conditional probability. In conditional probability, these are the probabilities calculated on the basis of that something has already happened. In conditional probability, there is the possibility as there is the some calculated on the basis of that something has already happened. For example, the probability that I will pay my electricity bill given that have just been paid. The probability that I have will pay my electricity bill given that have just been paid. And the probability that my students will turn up to class that given that it is a sunny day. In conditional probability, there is unconditional probability and conditional probability is there. Now we start with the unconditional probability. A fair dice is about to be tossed. A fair dice is to be tossed. The probability that it lands with the 5 showing up is 1 by 6. This is unconditional probability. And in conditional probability, the probability that it lands with the 5 showing up given that it lands with an odd number showing up is 1 divided by 3. This is the conditional probability. In conditional probability is denoted by A divided P is equals to A divided by B and P in bracket A divided by B is equals to P A intersection B divided by P in bracket B. So probability of occurrence of event A is given, then event B has already occurred. The probability of occurrence of event A is given that event B has already occurred in this situation. And in this case, the probability B divided by A is equals to P intersection A intersection B divided by probability of occurrence of event B is that, and given that the event A has already occurred. If the event A is already occurred, then the probability of occurrence of the event B is there. Some properties of conditional probability are there. The conditional probability of an event A given that B has occurred lies between 0 and 1. In conditional probability and event, there is a event A given that B has occurred. The probability of given B has occurred lies between 0 to 1. In conditional probability can be rewritten as follow. There is the if E, F and G are independent given that an event H has occurred, then P bracket open E intersection F, F intersection G divided by H is equals to P E divided by H multiplied by P bracket open F divided by H multiplied by P bracket open G divided by F. So there is the independent occurrence of event H has occurred. Now come to the example of conditional probability. The table shows the result of the class survey. Find P, wash the dishes divided by male. Did you wash the dishes last night? Female. Yes, 7 and no, 6. So total number of females are there 13 and in cases of male, yes, number of male is 7 and the no number of male is 8. So there are total number of males are there 15. The condition male limits the sample space to 15 possible outcomes. Out of 15 males, 7 did the dishes. So the favorable cases are there is 7 and the total number of outcomes is 15. So 7 divided by 15. So this is all about the conditional probability theory. Now we have to come Bayes theorem, and this is the last theorem of the probability. In Bayes theorem was given by the famous British mathematician Thomas Bayes and was published in 1763. It is based on the assumption that the probability can be revised in accordance with the empirical findings. When we calculate the probability of the basis of past information, it is known as prior probability, and when we revise the probability in the light of additional information with the help of Bayes rule, we denote it in inverse probability. In Bayes theorem, it is result in a probability theory that relates conditional probability if A and B denotes two events. Point number 2, P in bracket A and conditional probability of A occurring given that B occurs. The two conditional probabilities are there. P in bracket A if probability of occurring A given that B occurs, and P in bracket B the probability of conditional probability of occurring B occurring given that A occurs are in general different. In Bayes theorem gives a relation between P A occurrence A occurring given that B occurs and P B occurring that given A occurs. An important application of Bayes theorem is that it gives the rules how to update or to revise the strength of evidence-based beliefs in lights of new evidence. As a formal theorem, Bayes theorem is valid in all interpretations of probability. However, it plays a central role in the debate around the foundations of statistics. Frequentists and Bayesian interpretations disagree about the kinds of things to which probability should be assigned in applications. Whereas frequentists assign probabilities to the first is random event according to their frequencies of occurrence or to subsets of populations as proportions of the whole. Bayesians assign probabilities of propositions that are uncertain. A consequence is that Bayesians have more frequent occasion to use Bayes theorem. The article of Bayesian probability and frequentist probability discuss these debates at greater length. So Bayes theorem, suppose we have estimated prior probabilities or events we are concerned with and then obtain new information. We would like to a sound method to compute revised or posterior probabilities. Bayes theorem gives us a way to do this. Proof of Bayes theorem. The probability of two events A and B happening is there in this probability. PA times T bracket open A, the condition is P event is occur when the B is given occur. Probability of B given that A has occurred. On the other hand, the probability of A and B is also equal to the probability B times the probability of A given B. And equating the two yields, the probability B and probability of A and occurrence of B are there. If the event of A is occurred and then the event of B is occurrence is there. This equation is known as Bayes theorem. This is the basis of statistical inference. Now come to the statement of Bayes theorem. Bayes theorem relates the conditional and marginal probabilities of stochastic event A and B is there. Each term is Bayes theorem has conventional name. The probability of occurrence of event A is the prior probability of marginal probability of A. It is the prior in the sense of that it does not take into account any information about B, and in P it is the conditional probability of A given B. It is also called the posterior probability because it is derived from the depends upon the specified value of B. And now come to the fourth point. Probability B and A is the conditional probability of B given A. And the probability of occurrence of event B is the prior or the marginal probability of B, and the X is the normalizing constant. In Bayes theorem and the Bayes rules are Bayes theorem, let A1, A2 and number of A be a set of mutually exclusive events that together form the sample space S, and let B be any event from the sample space S B such that P is less than 0, and then P occurrence of event A and the conditional is the B is here. So P A1 intersection B plus P A2 intersection B. Now we have to add all the P's and number of intersection B. When to apply Bayes theorem? Part of the challenge in applying Bayes theorem involves recognizing these types of problems that warrants its use. You should consider Bayes theorem when the following conditions are exist in there. The sample space is partitioned into a set of mutually exclusive event A1, A2 and number of A is there. Within the sample space, their existence is event B for which the event B is greater than 0. The analytical goal is to compute a conditional probability of the form A. You know at least one of these two sets of probability and described as below. For example, 3 boxes contain 6 red, 4 black, 5 red and 5 black and 4 red, 6 black balls respectively. There are 3 boxes, and in 3 boxes there are contain 6 red, 4 black and 5 red, 5 black, 4 red and 6 black balls respectively. One of the boxes selected at the random and a ball is drawn from it. Out of the 3 boxes, we have to selected one box randomly and a ball is drawn from it. If the ball drawn is red, then find the probability that if it is random drawn from the first bag. Let's see the example. Let A, B, C and D be the events defined as follow. A is equals to first box is chosen, and B is equals to second box is chosen, C is equals to third box is chosen, and the fourth D is equals to fourth box is chosen. Since there are 3 boxes and one of these 3 boxes is chosen and random, the occurrence of probability of event A is there. The occurrence of event B, the probability is also there, and the occurrence of event C is the probability is also there. So this is now is equals to 1 divided by 3. If A has already occurred, then first box has been chosen, which contains 6 red and 4 black balls. The probability of the drawing a red ball from is 6 divided by 10. So similarly, there is a 6 divided by 10, and in second case 5 divided by 10, and in third case 4 divided by 10. As we require to find out the A and the probability of drawn the ball, given that ball drawn is red, what is the probability that is the drawn from the first box? So now we have to formula or to rule of Bayes theorem. T is equals to T, the event of occurrence is A is there multiplied by event of occurrence is drawn by A, and event is occurrence with A is there. So there are possibility of outcome is 1 by 3 multiplied by 6 divided by 10, divided by 1 by 3 multiplied 6 by 10, plus 1 by 3 multiplied 5 by 10, plus 1 by 3 multiplied by 4 by 10. Now we have to calculate and divide both the values, and the occurrence of event is 2 by 5. The possibility of occurrence is red ball from that chosen box is 2 by 5. So revising probability using Bayes theorem, prior probabilities, new information, application of Bayes theorem, and posterior probabilities. So this is all about the 4 theorems of the probabilities is addition theorem, multiplication, conditional, and Bayes theorem. So with this, we have completed the theory of probability. Thank you.